Club members. Okay, what I want to talk to you about is something that Eileen touched upon at the last club night. That is, we want to try to produce for this panel competition. You want to get your 6 photographs or however many you want to do laid out on a grid to be printed, right? Um, And the way Eileen was doing it was from first principles, where she basically made an A3 canvas and pulled in photographs, which is the way from first principles, and it gives you total control. It lets you sort of move things where you want, resize things where you want, and even rotate images. However, some people might find what I'm suggesting now to be ever so slightly easier, right? Okay, this is using in Photoshop or Elements what we call a grid template. Okay, and I have several here. They're small files, so I can get them probably be easily emailed out to people. Okay, so as you can see, there's several of them here, and there's a lot depending on what type of photographs you have, whether they're in landscape format, portrait format, square format. I'm going to pick this first one here, image grid 1, which does basically portrait and landscape with reasonably nice big white borders. Okay, right. Okay. So there we have it, and that, as you know, the first image that you open up becomes what they call the background layer in Photoshop. Okay. One thing, uh, if your layers palette doesn't come on when if you don't have it to come on whenever you open the Photoshop program, obviously go over the window and make sure layers is ticked. Okay, right. Now, several things we have to do with our image grid template. At the moment, it's a background layer to make it usable for what we want to do with this technique. And the first one is we've got to unlock the layer, right? Right. Easy way to do that is just simply double click it, and that becomes layer 0. Now that layer is totally editable. We can move it around. We can do a lot more things with it than we can with a normal background layer. Okay, and it's also worthwhile. I'll do it for completeness sake to obviously to name your layers. Right. Um, it's just for our technique, it mightn't make that much difference. But believe you me, if you start getting any more than about 10 layers on your stack, it's very hard to try to find out exactly what's what. So I'll just call this grid template. So there we have it. Now, and another thing that we might need to do, what we do need to do, right, is to change this layer's blending mode, right? Don't get too freaked out about blending mode. There's tons of stuff on the web that explains you what you do, but what they do. But basically, is how that layer interacts with what's the layer below it, right? And what I'm going to change that blending mode from normal to screen. And what that's going to do is, it's very simple. The black bits, which are the placeholders for our images that we're going to bring in, will become transparent, whereas the white borders will be opaque, which is what we want. We want each of our 6 individual images surrounded by a nice crisp white border. So that's why we have done that. Okay. So just make that ever so slightly bigger. Okay. Right. Let's have some do the fun part now. I'm going to bring in a few images. Okay. File, open, and I've got a few images here from the Mullahead ploughing match photo shoot that we did. Start off with a nice one for up on this left-hand corner, which is obviously a portrait sized image, right? So probably those 2 horses' heads might be nice. We'll open that. And obviously that is opening itself as a completely separate image. That's Photoshop's default. Okay. right? So what we want to do is want to take that image and we want to copy it into our grid, right? Okay. So what we do is you go select all, edit, copy. You can use the keyboard shortcuts, right? And it's using Control or on the PC, Command if you're on the Mac. But because some of you are going to be Mac users, some of you are going to be PC users, I'm just going to use the toolbar, right? I'm just going to, because if I ended up having to say basically, oh, it's Command C in the Mac, it's Control C in the PC all the time, basically, it's going to get a little bit confusing. So I'll just do all by selecting, copying, and pasting from the toolbar. Okay. That is now copied into memory, and you sort of know that, right? It's the image is still there. You see the little placeholders around it, right? So edit, copy. That puts that into the computer's memory. Now, at this point, we can actually shut that image down. And it's probably a good idea to do that, because if you don't, it'll eventually, if you get 6 images in there, they're going to start taking up resources. And unless your computer's got a lot of memory, it's going to get really quite slow, right? So I'll just close that image down, but it's still in memory. And we're now going to paste it into our image grid, right? Go edit and go paste. There we go. Boom. Let's come in as a new layer. Layer 1. I'll call it horse heads. Now, you see something very odd. Obviously, that layer has completely covered up the grid below it, right? But because we unlocked the original background layer, no problem at all. Take our horse heads and just drag it below it. There you go. Remember what I was saying? With that blending mode of screen, right? We what is happening is the black areas of the template became transparent. We can see the image, and the white borders are still opaque and stand out. But obviously, as you can see, that's one big image in there. We obviously going to want to put 6 images into all of those boxes. So we want to shrink that first image of the horse's heads, right? And what we do for that is something called, oh, I keep hitting that mouse, is edit, right, different image, transform, and free transform, or Command T on the Mac, Control T on the PC, right? This newer version of Photoshop automatically ticks this box called constrain proportions, right? So what I'm going to do now is not really needed for this version, but it does in older versions. So it's always a good idea when you want to resize an image, and you drag one of the corner handles, right? See, it becomes this little double-headed arrow, right? If you hold down the Shift key while doing that, that will automatically constrain the image's proportions. Just keep pulling it in, pulling it in, pulling it in. You might occasionally need to reposition it, right, by taking your finger off the Shift key and moving away from the corner handle. But just keep doing that and keep moving it, shrinking it. There we go. It'll come nicely now. Well, that looks quite nice there. You click the tick, accept the change, and in she comes. Right. All very simple. Right. Now we'll bring in another image. Right. Again, we'll find another image from the Mullahead ploughing. Nice one of a tractor, black and white. There we go. Remember what we did before? Select all, edit, copy, close down our original image, and paste. And again, this is going to come in as a brand new layer. Okay. Resize it, black and white, rename it black and white tractor. And as we did before, take that layer and pull it below the grid template. And just as we, same as we did before, image, transform, free transform, hold one of the corner handles, holding down the shift key, pull that in, and that'll resize your image. Keep working away, keep moving, keep resizing. But it's not too bad there. Tick the tick. Render the change. Okay. Yeah. Do one more. File, open. Get another sort of landscape shot. Maybe one of this ploughman here. As before, select all, edit, copy. Move back to our original template, edit, paste. Name our layer, ploughman. Pull it below the grid template like we did before. Then image, transform, free transform, holding the shift key. Just keep moving it, resizing it. It'll become easier as you get more confident with the technique. Now, you might notice something here. This original image is quite sort of long and thin, right? Compared with the space that you want to put it into, okay? Click the tick now. I quite like that, basically. It's nicely on the thirds and stuff like that, right? Off the plough, right? I didn't really want the horse's bottom in the picture. But do you notice that its space has overspilled into the one beside it, right? That isn't really a problem, because doing this technique, my next image coming in will be above it on the layer stack, right? So it's not, it'll be obscured anyway, but anybody who thinks that this is a bit untidy and a bit sort of off-putting, not a problem at all. You can go over here and you can grab the eraser tool, right? Now, I'm just going to erase part of that image, the bit that's spilling into this other space. But be careful. You need to make sure and select the ploughman layer, right? Or you're going to start erasing something you don't want, or namely the templates or one of the other images. So make sure the image layer that you want erasing is the one that is selected, in this case in blue, right? And very simple. You just go in and start erasing the bit of overspill. There you have it. So you keep building up this effect and building up your nice image grid to be saved, printed out. Okay. Obviously, if you want to keep working on this and as you get images for it and stuff like that, you'll want to save this, right? But to retain all your layers and retain all your work, you'll want to save it as a Photoshop PSD file, right? Okay. Now, you can't do a great deal with this. If you send this like a commercial printer, they'll probably invariably want to be a JPEG, right? So in that case, you'll file save as, and if you pick JPEG now, right, okay, save. What this is going to do is it's going to crunch everything into one background layer, right? That's the only way it can save it out as a JPEG, right? So obviously, be careful if you try to save this as a JPEG in order to email it to somebody or to print it, you're going to basically lose all your layers and lose all your work. Okay. Okay. Well, that's about all, and thanks for listening, and good luck in the panel competition, folks. Thank you.